There's an ancient proverb that goes, though the mills of God grind slowly, yet they grind exceedingly small. And that proverb is by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. And this is what it means. Back in ancient times and even today in some countries, people would literally grind their wheat by hand. They would have a little stone and a grinder, and they would grind their wheat by hand. And sometimes some of the wheat would fall off the table. Sometimes there would be some, the grinder would miss some of the pieces. And sometimes some of the wheat would fall by the wayside. But when we compare the grinding of wheat to humans, unlike man, God never drops or misplaces any of his children. If we're the wheat and God is the grinder, right? God does not forget about or lose any of his children, and God never allows his children to fall by the wayside. And if God is punishing any of his children, he never misses a kernel. Have you ever seen someone who spent an entire lifetime doing dirt, just being cruel, and you think to yourself, how is this person getting away with this? Well, actually, the person isn't. It's just that God's timing and our timing are two different timings. God's not on our time, and we're not on God's time. So what appears to us to be slow, to God, it's probably very, very fast. Some people look like they're getting away with doing cruel, evil things. But we reap what we sow. And if we are to compare ourselves to kernels of wheat, trillions and trillions, can't even count the wheat. But God is so perfect, he won't miss even a grain. So you can rest assured that that evil person who's out here doing wrong, you may not ever see them pay, but they will. And then there are other people we do get to see them pay. And that brings me to Brother Polight. If you don't know who he is, look him up, Polight. I talked about who he is in a different video. Won't talk about who he is here. This video is for people who know who he is. What is Brother Polight doing that is catching the ire of God? And I say that because it's clear to me that he's in a reaping season. He has sown so much dirt that right now he is reaping. He's been publicly humiliated. I liken what he's going through to someone who is totally naked, surrounded by a town full of people who are happy to see him finally get back some of what he's put out. I see him as a person who's standing in the middle of a town square, totally naked, and having people laugh at him and tell him what a terrible person he is. In no particular order. These are just some of the things that we know about. And then think about all that we don't know about that this man has done. He's been accused of being a scam artist by multiple people. He admits to being an adultery. He doesn't call it adultery, but he has a wife, and he claims he has multiple wives. Well, in the United States, you can only have one wife. But this man has multiple women and mistresses. He's accused of inappropriate behavior with at least one underage girl with DNA evidence. However, you are innocent until proven guilty, so I'll throw that in there. He claims that women are God, which of course is a false teaching. He treats money as if it's a God, which again is a false teaching. He lectures and sells books that reinforce money as being the most important thing in the world, which again is a false teaching. And his biggest thing that he's doing that has caught the attention of God is that he's leading people astray. He recruits others into his ungodly lifestyle and is ultimately responsible for leading God's children in the wrong direction. He claims that he has expensive cars and homes, but people are now saying that those cars actually belong to rich people, famous people, and that those homes are not even his, that he actually rents Airbnbs. So he's putting himself up as being person A when he's actually person Z. He's not who he's pretending to be, and yet people think that he is, and they're following him. They're following his lead. He's continuously sowing seeds that are rotten, and he's reaping a reward that's almost unbearable. And he's right now in the beginning stages of his reaping season. But unfortunately, he continues to sow into bad ground and to sow seeds of ungodliness. So it may take him for the rest of his life, since he's not learning lessons, to continue to reap what he's sowing. Stay tuned.